Some stories don't start with creaking doors or ancient curses. Some start with something much quieter. A hum in the engine, a stretch of road with no end in sight, eyes half shut, thoughts drifting. And that's when something else takes the wheel. Welcome back to Paranormal Nightshift, where the veil between this world and the next is always thinner than it seems. And your chilling fan-submitted stories take center stage. I'm Andy, your narrator for tonight, guiding you through another strange, disturbing, and unforgettable experience. But before we dim the lights and dive into the dark, if you haven't already, make sure to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado over at paranormalnightshift.com. It's the first story in our supernatural time travel saga where Buck, Shadow Sheriff Freeman, discovers that time doesn't heal all wounds, especially the ghostly kind. Now, settle in. Because this next story, it's one you're going to feel in your bones. This is The Passenger in the Hat, shared with us by Jacob, and once you hear it, you may never look at a back road the same way again. They say you never believe something can happen to you until it does. I always thought those kinds of stories were for other people. Headlines, horror movies, Reddit threads you read at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. Not me. I'm just a regular person who takes back roads when the highways are jammed. Someone who drinks too much coffee and not enough water, who tells themselves they'll sleep after this one last errand. I remember the night it happened with unnerving clarity. It was one of those long, rural stretches of road that make you feel like you're the only person on Earth. No lights except your own headlights. No signs for miles, and trees that seem to lean a little too far into the road like they're eavesdropping. I was driving back from a friend's place. We'd stayed up way too late, talking, watching something on TV. Just life. I hadn't slept much in the last couple of days, but I figured I could push through. Just 30 more minutes, I told myself. I'd be home before I knew it. Wrong. I don't remember falling asleep. That's the worst part. I remember waking up, jerked upright by the violent jolt of the car diving nose first into a muddy ditch, tires spinning out, headlights cutting across a shallow embankment, the whole frame lurching sideways like we were in a slow-motion car commercial gone wrong. I slammed on the brakes, heart slamming harder, and somehow we stopped. The car was stuck, angled awkwardly into the ditch, but miraculously, it wasn't wrecked. No crumpled metal, no airbags, no broken windows, just stuck. My friend, who had dozed off in the passenger seat, snapped awake like someone had lit a fire under him. After a few deep breaths and a string of profanity, we checked ourselves. No blood, no bruises, just shaken, grateful. A tow truck came about 30 minutes later. The guy didn't ask questions. The cops did, though. That's when my friend, still pale but quick on his feet, piped up about a deer crossing the road. Swerved to miss it. He's lucky. Could have been worse. The officer believed him, or maybe he didn't care. Just another small-town call in the middle of the night. Eventually, they got us out, and the officer, who gave me a tired look, like he'd seen 100 versions of me that month, decided to drive us home. I didn't say much during that ride. I just kept thinking about how easy it was for something like that to happen. One blink too long, one curve too late. But what really got to me was what happened a few nights later. I'd finally managed to sleep again. Deep sleep, the kind where the world falls away. But this wasn't like any dream I'd had before. This didn't feel like my subconscious. It felt like a memory I hadn't lived yet. In the dream, I was back on that country road, but this time I was alone. No friend, no music. Just the hum of the engine and the darkness pressing in all around me. The sky was void black, and the trees lining the road seemed taller, gnarled, wrong somehow. The kind of trees that look like they've been watching too long. As I drove, I noticed something odd about the landscape. It wasn't just rural, It was abandoned, a ghost town. Cracked windows, boarded doors, porches sagging like they were exhaling their last breath. Not a single light on in any home, no dogs barking, no signs of life, just rot and silence. I pulled out my phone to check the GPS, but the signal was weak and kept stuttering between directions. Still, I followed it, and every time I thought I was getting somewhere, I wound up back at the same damn intersection. 4 roads, 1 street light that buzzed like a dying fly, buildings on all 4 corners in different states of decay. And each time I pulled up to it, I saw the same vehicle waiting. An old black cargo van, not parked, not moving, just sitting there, like it was waiting for me. I'd approach. It would start moving, but not toward me. It would turn down one of the other roads and vanish into the dark. No license plate, no brake lights. Just gone. The next time I reached the intersection, it was there again. The 3rd time, the 4th. Each time just out of reach. Each time vanishing. Then I noticed something else. The road was sloping now, a gentle decline at first, then sharper, and without realizing it, my speed began to creep up. The car started taking the curves too fast. My hands were on the wheel, but I couldn't feel them. My foot was off the gas, but the car didn't slow down. I wasn't driving anymore. I was along for the ride. The curves grew sharper, more violent. Trees blurred past in streaks. My chest tightened, panic surged. I screamed, but it came out wrong, like it echoed inside my skull instead of the air. Then impact. I don't remember the crash itself, just the after. The windshield was shattered. Glass glittered like starlight across the dash. Smoke rose lazily from under the hood. My door was jammed and everything was still. The quiet after a storm. That's when I saw the light, faint at first, glowing behind me like headlights through the mist. I turned to check the driver's side mirror, and there it was. That same black van. Parked, idling, watching. I waited, staring into the mirror, expecting the door to open. Someone to get out. No one did. Then I turned to the passenger side, and that's when I saw him. A man, or something shaped like one, was standing just outside the passenger window. He wasn't solid. He was a silhouette, like someone had cut him out of the dark itself. No features, no face, just the outline of a body and a wide-brimmed, rounded hat, like an old Undertaker's hat or a cowboy's, I don't know. But it didn't belong to this century. In his hand, I saw something glinting. At first, it was too dark to tell. Then I squinted, leaned forward. It was a gun, a revolver, old, Western style. My eyes locked on his hand, and just as the realization hit me, he raised it. The last thing I remember before the dream broke was the flash of the muzzle, a deafening bang, and a white light that swallowed everything. I woke up drenched in sweat, heart beating so hard it hurt. My ears were ringing just like they did when I shot my first rifle as a teenager. That same hollow, endless tone. I sat up, gasping, and the first thing I did was check the clock. 3:14 a.m. Of course it was. I haven't had that dream again, not once, but I think about it a lot, especially when I drive at night, especially near intersections, especially when I see a cargo van. Was it just a dream, my mind processing the accident in its own twisted way, or was it something else? I'll never know. But sometimes I wonder, if I hadn't woken up when I did, would I still be asleep? Or would I still be driving, forever looking for a way out? And that's where Jacob's story ends, or at least where he left it. To Jacob, thank you for sharing something so personal and raw. What happened to you on that road, that dream, that van? It lingers in the air like static. And if you've ever driven late at night, running on fumes and instinct, you know exactly the kind of quiet that lets something else creep in. To the rest of you listening, thanks for stepping into the dark with me again. I don't take your time or your trust lightly. This show doesn't exist without you. Your stories, your chills, your questions whispered into the night. If you want to support what we do here on Paranormal Nightshift, head over to Patreon. That's where you'll get every episode ad-free, early access to the show, and exclusive entry into all future journeys of the Dimensional Desperado series. Not ready for that? Totally fine. Just hit subscribe on Spotify or YouTube, leave a comment, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Your voice helps keep these stories alive. And don't forget, paranormalnightshift.com is where you can get your free ebook and even submit your own story. We're always listening. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe. And if you ever find yourself stuck at an intersection with a van watching you, don't blink. Good night, time traveler.